Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about the biggest cover-up there possibly is. Now, this one's so big, it's true on Earth, it's true on Saturn, it's true on Mars, probably Mercury, Venus, and every other, I'm guessing, folks, planet and moon you can name in the Milky Way or anywhere else. This theory is, of course, hollow Earth. This has nothing to do with science fiction, but purely science fact. I have a NASA video which says exactly how this is possible when everything is formed. And another video which backs it up. Folks, hollow Earth theory isn't just something that somebody put out there. There have been explorers for centuries. There's explorers who have their expedition on stamps. There was a 2007 expedition alone just to find where this giant crater you see among another one in the other pole is. Now, it's my idea, folks, that these two entrances are the only ways to get in and or out of the Earth dome. Do I believe that 100%? No, because comets and stuff can still come and go, and yet we see videos all the time of rockets that hit something and basically go up. Now, what do we really know about it? Well, we know a lot of things. We know pretty much everybody who's worth mentioning has written papers about it. Galileo wrote about it. That's as far back as we can probably go. The Chinese, I believe Chinese explorers wrote about it. Israel has papers on it. Russian Space Agency has documents proving this, or at least supposedly proving this. There are lots of things involving this, folks. And what I want to do is I want to show you as much proof as possible. But as always, folks, you decide. Now, the first thing I really want to go into before I go into the photos and the videos is just talk to you about what this is and what this is not. You've always seen videos of caves with vast amount of lush green inside, plants that people haven't seen for 100 years, 1,000 years, and yet these are inside of caves that are well lit. You've seen underground caves and caverns, folks, full of crystals the size of men. And those are not fake, those are reality. Different caverns, different pressures, different things grow. And with this idea, folks, the hollow Earth theory and being in the very center of the Earth is true. Now, I don't know if there is a sun within the Earth or some kind of a star that molds everything. I don't know about the inner details. I can only show you the inner workings, and you can do your exploration one way or another. And from here, you'll have guidance as to what to look for and what not to look for. So, without further ado, folks, I want to go through the photos I've collected. Alright, this first photo is shown over one of the openings. I believe this one here is in the North Pole opening. And I don't know if this is a satellite of a shadow or if this is an actual satellite captured in a dark region. What I do know, folks, is that this is supposed to be one of the two main holes. This is one of the stamps that I found. This guy by the name of Bird is a well-known explorer. He took multiple years, multiple crosses to try to find this opening, and if you read his memoirs, folks, you realize he found an opening where he descended into the inner earth. Now, I don't know exactly what is fiction, what is fact. I actually worked for a Bird's Meats, and I know the descendant was supposed to be one of the guys who was I believe, cousin to this explorer, because he always talked about how famous his cousin was. And, it was like it would have been like his grandfather's generation, but it would have been like well, look at this right here. I mean, 1920s, so thereabouts, 1920s, 1930s. So this guy took multiple explorations, folks. Several years of his life. I believe he funded everything himself. I don't know whether or not he was rich enough or whether or not he had people who had money. But as you can see, one trip he took was in 1926, another one 1927, 1933 and 34, and another one in 1929. And if you notice anything about the postage stamps, folks, it is a U.S. postage stamp, and it's 3 cents. This tells you how long ago this was, folks. A long time ago. Now, this is supposed to be one of the holes that you can go into and see the inner earth. And one of these, and I believe this is the same hole, gives you dimensions. These are on our planet. You can go and find out where, I believe this is in the North Pole, where this is. And if you ever get here, you can go in here and probably find out what's going on. Although I would imagine if it's worth exploring, there will probably be some kind of gate or something like that in the inner workings. Not to mention some kind of a security presence. This is called Agartha 0071. This may or may not have been something the Nazis found when they were exploring. But this is supposed to be one of the entrances that man can go into with repelling gear, food, etc. My bad, folks. I'm skipping all over the place. Here is the best opening. I do not know if this is a vertical opening or a longitudinal opening. I believe this would be a vertical opening. It does look like it's wide enough for an aircraft, but I'm not certain, folks. Here's an early rendering of when people thought there was an inner earth, unter der Erde. And as you can see, Norte goes into the inner earth. Die Himmel, atmospheric. Nach Urban, inner, or innerly. I can't read any of this because it's just too frickin' blotched. But it looks like there are numbers there. I'm guessing these are dimensions. And this is supposed to be like the crust or something. No, okay. This is supposed to be where the two inner holes meet. And then this is basically der Himmel. And Verkehrsnis mir. And I think this is where the actual inner Earth is. I don't know what this actually says. I'm not sure what Quechnish Dutch that's Weltar actually means. Erde, I believe, is Earth, so under the Earth. Norte under Undin. I know some of it, folks. I don't know everything. I'm guessing this is just some rendering. Here's one to show you that Mars has a similar opening, and that this is similar for all planet bodies that we know of, and that basically this is similar for all structures that we can find. This is not just an Earth thing. Here's one of the Earth's openings. I believe it's still over the North Pole. And basically, folks, this is what it is over here. This is Saturn, best I know it. There's a North and a South Pole opening. I do not know, folks, if this is glowing due to, say, the Northern and Southern Lights effect, or if this is glowing due to solar effect or what. But this is supposedly Saturn, and the North and South Pole openings are glowing. So I would like to take a moment for you just to kind of look at it and think how nice it is to have that. And I will also move this up a little. Okay. Yep, okay, that's about as far up as I can go. So you can see it over here, and you can see it down here. This is what it is, folks. Now, this one here is a great exploration. I think this was done in the 1880s. This could have been something that somebody made up. I can't really read this very well. I believe that's exactly what it is. Somebody basically talked about doing this expedition and going into the inner Earth. And I'm not certain if these continental things line up with our current map, or if these are actually a different map design. Here is one of our current Earth. It's obviously a 3D rendering with the hole in the North Pole. It's kind of weird to me that the North Pole entrance is almost always shown and the South Pole entrance is almost not shown. Don't you find that weird, folks? I find it always weird. Now, let me talk a little bit about this, because this is important. This happened in our lifetime, folks. The journey to the North Pole and beyond. This was a voyage somebody put together, folks. Some millionaire, billionaire put this together and believed enough to spend millions of dollars to take some icebreaker out into what I believe to be North America and find this entrance to the inner Earth. Now, I'm just going to let you go ahead and look at this, because this says that somebody who wasn't a skeptic or half-baked all the time, had money, had resources, had people who believed in them or her, to go on a voyage to actually find a North Pole entrance to the hollow Earth. This could be a South Pole entrance too, I don't know. But it does actually say journey to the North Pole and beyond, 24-day trip. So this person took this June 26, 2007 to July 19, 2007 aboard the icebreaker Yamo. Okay, folks, somebody believed in this enough to actually do this. Now, what does that mean? That means that this is real, folks. Whether it goes all the way through, whether it allows you in, whether there's nothing inside but crystals, whether there's a giant volcano That if you fly into it via north or south, it will eat you alive. I do not know. But what I do know, folks, is that people are still investing money in today's world. Now, this is 2007, but this is still good, folks. People are still thinking outside the box. They are no longer afraid, and they are acting that they want to know. And today's world, they're still asking the question, is this possible? VoyageHollowEarth.com. You can type that in and find out all about this, and probably find out whether or not they're doing another one that you can probably be part of. Now, this is something I actually found, which I actually thought was interesting. It gives some idea of the dimensions we're looking at. North Pole entrance, South Pole entrance, outer atmosphere, middle Earth and caverns and rivers. Okay, that's like the crust. Earth shell's 400 to 800 miles thick. So that's basically the crust. Earth's gravity center is just supposedly below that. I don't know if that's completely on the level. But basically it says inner Earth, paradise, Eden, inner atmosphere. So the air does kind of circulate, and that's actually a good thing. And that tells you whether or not climate change is real, because if the air... Okay. Let me go back to something. Okay, this is how you prove whether or not this is real. Ready? Okay. We know that water, or rather lava, and the mantle shift down and come up with new Earth, and that goes every like 100,000 years or so and replaces itself. This, via the atmosphere, is kind of its cleaning center and everything else, I'm guessing. And it circulates the air and it pushes it out over here. It's the same thing with most of our other systems on this planet, folks. I don't know whether or not there's a giant ball here. I don't know whether or not it's 600 miles in diameter. I do not know if you can actually stand on this. I do not even know if there is anything to stand on. But one thing's for certain, folks. Somebody does believe it. Hitler believed in this. He bankrupted Nazi Germany, basically looking for all these lost artifacts, folks. This was the man who was a cousin of the Rothschilds, who believed strongly enough to invest probably half his bounty in Nazi Germany, Austria, Hungary, etc., to find what they call Agatha, or Agartha, which was a trip to the North Pole, which they actually went inside the inner Earth. They supposedly have pictures and everything else, but CIA and the rest will not release those to the public. I don't know whether or not that's true. But I'm sure if you pay them a nice 50 grand, you'll be able to see those pictures. Now, this is somebody's rendering, and most of these don't have any real names or anything attached, and I actually feel sorry. But you can go here and you can type 87.7 north latitude, 142.2 east longitude, and the North Pole going that way, and this is 890 miles wide, folks. The hole itself is 890 miles wide. Now, you can fly in, North Pole's down here. And the middle is 90 miles wide. It's the inner continent, which is 90 miles wide. And this part over here is 1,257. This part over here is 400 miles. 629 miles. So somebody, folks, actually did this math. 784 miles to Point Barrow. So if I were you, I'd look up what Point Barrow is. And I'd look up 200 miles of ice. So basically, if you're going in north entrance, looks like you want to come in from Point Barrow, which is a 629 mile journey. So I don't know if it allows you to go in like that or what, but it's definitely worth looking into, folks. I will move this and allow you to look. Hang on. There we go. You can jot down everything if you want, folks. Here, I'll even put this down here so you can look at it better. Now, this one's actually important. I told you a lot of people did papers on this a long time ago. In 1692, there was an astronomer named Edward Halley who published a paper titled Hollow Earth. He actually determined the cause of change and variation from a magnetic needle with a hypothesis of the structure of the internal parts of the Earth. He also worked in a lot of harmonics and things like that, and I believe he worked with a lot of monks and visited a lot of monasteries, and he noticed that the resonance and the tones varied as he was higher, lower, and everything else, and he basically said that this is how everything works, folks. And basically said that there are several layers to this earth and everything else. Now, obviously, there might not be 3 or 4 different layers with a giant core, but you can see where the ideas are cooking. This came in 1692, folks. Sorry. Alright, this is supposed to be the inner working. This is the part that I think is Atlantis. Notice this here, folks. You come in and you meet this. This is a circle, just the way they described Atlantis. I don't think Atlantis, folks, or what was Atlantis, was anything that was supposed to be on the surface. I think it was the inner continent, and I think these are different areas of that sort, and I think you can look this up. Tentriona, Leah, and everything else, folks. This is just a basic 3D modeling of it. I can't read much of this, so I'm not going to. Come on. There we go. Hang on, folks. There we go. Alright, this is supposed to be a close-up of, I believe, the southern pole photo, but it could be the North Pole, and look. Looks like there's a sea entrance. And from what I've heard from pilots and things that fly by here, you kind of start losing your meters and everything when you get within about 20 miles of this place. So you pretty much better fly VFR, visual flight reference. When I was flying with my family back in Fort to Arizona when I was little, there was one pilot that we met. I was stupid. I asked, I said, so, what are all those bars on your arm? And as if he had been in like some 1700s war zone, he had all these stripes on his arm. After a certain level, folks, they start giving you things for secrets and this and that. And he kind of said that he was a pilot that flew a lot over the North Pole and a lot of the barren areas of the world. And I was little at the time. He may have been making things up. 12, 13, 14, 15, the time where you kind of start wondering, is this real, is this not real? He probably made up a good story, but let's just say it was real anyways. He told me and he told my family that he had actually flown over an area and saw this North Pole. Now, obviously, he was in an airplane, not a spaceship, so he did not see this to this degree, but he saw a black void in the middle, and he said he received hell for it because he was flying a cargo ship at the time, and basically it was very important cargo, yada yada yada, and he got to see this, and when he got back after he got chewed out, You got a bunch of stripes for it. This is one of the Russian pages, sites. I can't read that. I can't even decipher it for you to read, and I can't read that. Basically, it shows this way and then this way. I believe this is the North Pole. I believe this is the South Pole. I can't even read that enough to see the letters, and I'm staring right at the computer screen, folks. This is what everybody believes the inside looks like. Basically, the water comes into and circulates along with everything else. I don't know whether or not that's true. I have no way of knowing. You have no way of knowing. But there is supposed to be a star or something in there. Now, what I think it actually is I think now here's the cool thing, if this is real. If the North and the South Pole come together with a vacuum, they could pull the light from the sun into an orb and make a sun appear at the center of what this is. And this could actually be like a hollow sun where it shines as bright because it compresses the light that it captures into its own 3D sun. That would be cool. Just a theory. Now this one's awesome here. I can actually read this or most of this. The remarkable photograph taken by ESSA-7 satellite. 23 November 1968. There is almost no cloud cover. The ice fields on the surface can be observed. The ice fields on the surface can be observed. And the hole at the North Pole can be clearly seen. Okay, the entrance to Agartha, folks. I believe this is the entrance to the South Pole. If you notice, this is all the way in the middle. There is almost no way to get a boat to that, folks. You would have to pull up over here and pray to God you reach this before you get out or something. Here. So this is just a cave dwelling I had that was supposed to be of an entrance to this place or some cave in the area. I don't know, folks. Here's a great photograph of early people believing that there was something in the center of the earth. Now, this is supposed to be a universal symbol for the hollow earth. And there is a book that made this very famous. I believe this symbol can also be found in pyramids of Giza and several other sites around the world. This is one of those caves way in the center of the earth, or at least deep down to where we can wear oxygen masks and everything and get to where there are crystals the size of men and beyond. Pressures here are quite bad. They can reach temperatures up to 500 degrees. And people are always watching these people. Sometimes they go in with oxygen tanks. Sometimes it'd be too hot for that, so they can't go in. Different depths, different temperatures, different pressures, different things, folks. Alright, so this is supposed to be a picture. This one supposedly shows what the internal workings of the internal parts of the inner Earth look like. I don't know if this is real or not, but it's supposed to be South Pacific, it's supposed to be South Atlantic Ocean, and it's supposed to be the internal workings. This is just a photo. I can't even read this to source it. I couldn't read it on the original photo, but I just sourced the image. This is a human sketching of basically what they think the hole looks like, except for I believe the hole to be much smaller than this, like half the diameter. And we're back to this one here, where it basically started from. Let me see. Yep, and now we're basically going in circles, so that's pretty good. So what I want to do, folks, for you is I want to switch screens for a moment and show you this picture here and show you this file here. This is very important, folks. This was, let me show you down here. This is NASA Proves Hollow Earth Theory by Adam Mell. Okay? Legally, I can only show about 30 minutes. And basically, folks, this is basically what happened. They took a droplet of water and they spun it in zero gravity, and now it's spinning.
And inside this
As it
sphere
spins,
are a whole
it
bunch
starts
of
to
little
hollow
tiny
out.
air bubbles.
I'm going to stop it here, and now you see all the bubbles going in, coming into a tube form.
And we will
And
see
now
what
it's
the
rotating,
angular
rotating,
acceleration
rotating,
due to
rotating, and
rotation
now look.
does to these air bubbles as a function of time. What you observe.
Now, if you can't see here, folks, it's hollowed out one area and this is hollowed out another. This is what they believe, folks, is the actual hollow earth theory. And I don't have to show you any more than that because that basically proves it. The air is on the inside, everything is on the out. And if you go along here, it starts collecting things from the air. And you can actually see it collecting things. And this is basically how you get a planet right here. Ready? Here we go.
Here we have
That's how you get a planet,
rotating
folks.
sphere filled with.
Okay, so hollow earth theory is confirmed, but you can still decide, folks. Now, this next one's with Alka-Seltzer, and it basically shows the same thing thereabouts. There was a bubble, somebody put Alka-Seltzer, and basically it's spinning. And this is what it basically does. It pushes all the air
I had no idea what was
inside each other.
I had a couple of
and it
preconceived
forms
ideas,
a
and both of those were wrong.
Well, that's what science is all about.
Just goes to show that sometimes you just have to do an.
Okay? And it may not be beautiful, but that's hollow, and that's hollow, and as
in order to
it
figure out
turns
what's
in,
going
as
to
it
happen.
turns in, as it turns in, folks, we will see a perfect hollow shape. There we go, folks. And that gives you the hollow earth theory, folks. And I know it's done with Alka-Seltzer, but it's the same idea. It pushes all the air inside. Same thing with this, and this one here is Alka-Seltzer added to a spherical water droplet in microgravity by Plasma Ben. This one here, folks, NASA Proves Hollow Earth Theory by Adam Mell. So, this proves it, folks. And I like this one here. I did source this in the references, so you don't have to worry about it. The picture, at least. This proves it, folks. And there's been expeditions. There are people who have their expeditions on stamps. There's a recent expedition that I know of in 2007, which I showed you. So, it's up to you to believe, folks. But this one's not like the others where it's, well, maybe and maybe not. This one's pretty much proven by science. I mean, you can talk to pilots, you can talk to guys in the military, you can talk to any number of people, and they'll tell you any number of things, folks. That this is, in fact, something that a lot of people keep, under wraps. And basically, folks, this is what they're keeping from you. I don't know why. I don't know how long it's been there, but obviously the Hollow Earth thing has been there since the beginning, and I think they found out about it mostly from the time when they were doing their space exploration. I think that's when everything really came into focus. I think they knew about it when we were still moving ships around the Earth, but I think beyond reasonable, they found out about it when we hit space. As always, guys, this is Hollow Earth Theory. You decide. Thank you. God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Everything else.